Squiz Kids acknowledges the traditional owners of the lands on which we podcast, the Turrbal and Gadigal people.
Squiz Kids!
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Hello and welcome to Squiz Kids Today, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Bryce Corbett. It's Monday, July 17. In Squiz Kids Today, Women's World Cup fever arrives. Northern Hemisphere heatwave. History is made at Wimbledon and the surfboard stealing otters. That's what's making news, kids style.
The lowdown.
Have you got your cheering pants on? Are you ready to barrack as loud as you can for some of the greatest female athletes on the planet? Because the entire nation is about to fall under the spell of the FIFA Women's World Cup, which kicks off later this week with matches in Sydney and Auckland. Players from 32 countries around the world are already in Australia and New Zealand training ahead of the tournament, which kicks off this Thursday and runs right through to the final in just over a month's time. In sporting terms, it's the biggest event to hit our shores since the pandemic, and Aussies have already shown how excited they are, with most games sold out around the country. The Matildas, the Australian women's national team, captained by the world's #1 female soccer player, the remarkable Sam Kerr, have already gotten things off to a great start, beating France 1-0 in a pre-tournament friendly on Friday night, with an epic goal from Mary Fowler. And while they stand like giants now on the international stage, it's worth remembering that each one of the Matildas began their sporting careers on suburban pitches, much like the one that you might have played on this weekend. Sam Kerr only gave football a go after she wasn't able to play in the local Aussie Rules boys team anymore. Courtney Vine started playing in her brother's team. Avi Luick decided to travel to the United States to play professionally, and Claire Polkinghorne decided she wanted to play after watching her brother, and with no girls' team to join, she signed up to play with the boys. Sound familiar? It's proof that where there's a will, and with a whole lot of determination, there's always a way. Well, hey, there goes the classroom companion clarion, indicating that today's worksheets will be linked to this news story. And teachers, you'll want to check this one out, because we've created a World Cup word search just for you. And if you want to dive a little bit deeper into the FIFA Women's World Cup and the remarkable history of women's football, which goes back a lot further than you think, then keep an ear out tomorrow for our excellent Squiz Kids shortcut on the subject. You're welcome.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed in Europe and North America, where temperatures this week are expected to climb to as high as 48 degrees Celsius as the Northern Hemisphere is gripped by a heatwave. Authorities from Italy to Spain to Greece and right across the United States have been warning their citizens and the gazillion tourists who are visiting at the moment to keep hydrated, to keep cool, and to stay out of the blazing heat of midday as much as possible as temperature records tumble all over the top of the globe. A red alert has been issued for 16 cities in Italy, including the popular tourist destinations of Rome and Florence, with the island of Sicily to the south expected to bear the brunt of the summer blaze. And the worst is still to come, with weather forecasts predicting the height of the heat will occur later this week. Meanwhile, wildfires are burning across Canada, while in California in the United States, in the appropriately named Death Valley, temperatures this weekend were expected to reach as high as 53 degrees Celsius. Ay caramba.
Sport time.
A little bit of history was made at the Wimbledon Tennis Championships in London at the weekend, when Czech player Markéta Vondrousová became the first unseeded player in the history of the tournament to come out of nowhere and win it. Unseeded means that she went into the competition not ranked as one of the best players. Vondrousová is ranked 42 in the world, which is no small thing, but thanks to a recent wrist injury that required surgery, she wasn't expected to go quite so far at Wimbledon this year. Speaking after the match, though, the 24-year-old said she couldn't quite believe it herself, and that tennis was a crazy game. Crazy indeed, Marketa.
Believe it or not.
Surfers in Santa Cruz on the California coast are on high alert after an otter took a liking to their boards and started biting chunks out of them. Yep, you heard right. A surfboard munching otter. Sounds like a less scary, much cuter version of the Meg. There's a funny video doing the rounds of social media showing the otter latching onto a surfboard while the owner is still on it and gnawing away at it, not the least bit bothered by the surfer's attempts to shoo it away. I've stuck a link to the video in today's episode notes. Otters love chowing down on crabs in that part of the world, so they have teeth and jaws that are no match for a humble surfboard. And while the Coast Guard has issued an alert and warned surfers to stay away from the hungry otter, I've got to say I watched the video and it looked to me like she was just wanting to have a go at surfing. An otter hanging 10. Why not? A little message to welcome back the kids, families and classrooms who are just returning from school holidays. Hope you had a whale of a time. A little message too to let you know that from the start of this school term, and thanks to the feedback we received in our most recent audience survey, Squiz Kids will be dancing to a whole new tune this term with a brand new schedule. The daily news pod Squiz Kids Today will now drop Mondays, Wednesdays and Thursdays. Every Tuesday you'll get a shortcut or a Squiz the World. And we're bringing our super fun Kids vs Adults weekly news quiz forward to Fridays, so you can test who's been paying the most attention to the week that just was. Same cool Squiz Kids content, still absolutely gobsmackingly free, just delivered differently. You're welcome. Again.
Time for the quiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. Question number 1. Which tennis competition did unseeded Marketa Vudrosova win over the weekend? Yeah, that's right, it was Wimbledon. Question number 2. What sort of animal is terrorizing surfers in California? Yeah, well done if you said otter. Question number 3. What's the name of the captain of the Matildas, Australia's national women's soccer team? Take a bow if you said Sam Kerr.
Shout-outs.
It's July 17. Here's a fun fact. 17 July is the date displayed on the calendar emoji. Don't believe me? Take a look. Why, you may ask? Because 17 July 2002 was the day that Apple unveiled its calendar app. So, there you go. It's also a special day today for these Squiz Kids celebrating a birthday today and tomorrow. Renette and Annika from Woongarra, Bo from Parabadoo, Owen from Flagstaff Hill, Ella from Clairvaux, Eden from Denmark in WA, Liam from Plumpton, Claire and Harry from Carlingford, William from Middle Harbour, Tom from Leopold, Hamish from Forest Lake, Noah from Mernda, Arlo and Piper, who are holidaying together in Thredbo. Lucky them. Angel from Foster, Leo from Cannon Hill, Alia from Orange, Oscar from Semaphore, Seth from Gulgong, Noah from Matong, Piper from Piermont, and Caitlin, who's listening all the way over there in Fengyuan, Taiwan. And a belated birthday shout-out goes to Charlie from Echuca. Also a note, if you're just tuning back in after the school holidays, we did lots of belated birthday shout-outs in last week's podcasts, or I'd hate for you to think that you'd missed out. And today's classroom shout-outs go to Classes 5B and 5W with Mr. Michelle and Mr. Coy at Villa Maria Catholic Primary School in Hunters Hill, Miss Faye's class at Oran Park Public School, Year 4 with Ms. Beard and Mrs. Robertson at St. Joseph's Primary School in Narandra, Year 4 with Miss Schwartz at Maitland Lutheran School, Class 4G and Mrs. Chan at Epping West Public School, and finally to the classes with Mrs. Smith and Miss Huntley at Estella Public School in Wagga Wagga. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout out, or if you're after a classroom shout out. Drop us a line at squizkids@thesquiz.com.au or fill out the form on our website. Well, that's all we have time for. Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids today. We'll be back with a shortcut tomorrow and another Squiz Kids Today daily news podcast on Wednesday. In the meantime, get out there and have a most excellent day. Over and out.